After many days of traveling, Lucy finally arrived at a small village. There was a festival taking place, and the streets were full of people celebrating. There were bright colors everywhere, balloons, flowers, and flags, and the air smelled like sweet pastries and roasted meats. The sounds of laughter and music filled the air, and Lucy felt a sense of wonder. She had never seen anything like it before. The villagers welcomed her with open arms, inviting her to join in the fun. At first, Lucy hesitated. She wasn't used to being around so many people, but as she looked around, she saw how happy everyone was, how carefree they seemed. Slowly, she joined in the games, dancing and laughing with the villagers. She felt a joy she hadn't expected. For the first time in a long time, Lucy felt like she was part of something bigger than herself. She forgot her worries and allowed herself to enjoy the moment. It wasn't just about facing fears or overcoming obstacles. Sometimes bravery was about allowing yourself to have fun and connect with others. While at the festival, Lucy heard a small voice calling for help. She turned and saw a young boy, no more than 5 or 6 years old, standing at the edge of the crowd. He was crying and looking around, clearly lost. Lucy's heart went out to him, and without hesitation, she walked over to him. "Are you okay?" Lucy asked gently. The boy looked up at her, tears in his eyes. "I can't find my mommy," he said, his voice shaking. Lucy's heart tightened. She knew the woods beyond the village were dark and scary, and it was easy to get lost in them. Without thinking, Lucy took the boy's hand. "Don't worry," she said, trying to sound reassuring. "We'll find your mommy. I won't let you be scared." Even though Lucy was frightened of the woods herself, she didn't let that stop her. Holding the boy's hand tightly, she led him toward the edge of the village and into the trees. The air grew colder, and the sounds of the festival faded into the distance. But Lucy didn't stop. She knew that this was what being brave truly meant, helping others, even when it scared you. They walked for what felt like hours, calling out for the boy's mother. Eventually, they found her, a woman frantic with worry. When Lucy reunited the boy with his mother, the woman hugged Lucy tightly, thanking her over and over. Lucy smiled, feeling a deep sense of pride. She had done something important, something that mattered. She had been brave not just for herself, but for someone else. After the festival, Lucy felt a change in herself. The joy she had felt dancing with the villagers and the pride of helping the lost child filled her heart with warmth. She had learned so much already, and yet there was still so much more to understand. The road ahead was still long, but she knew that the journey was changing her in ways she hadn't expected. As she made her way home, Lucy reflected on all the lessons she had learned. She had crossed the stormy woods. She had helped an injured traveler. She had faced her fear of the dark forest and the rushing river. But still, something tugged at her heart. She felt she hadn't fully understood what it meant to be brave. When she arrived at the village, the familiar sight of the small houses and green fields filled her with a sense of calm. She walked slowly toward the farm, her feet heavy with the weight of everything she had learned. The fields stretched out before her, peaceful and quiet, but she felt a sense of purpose she hadn't felt before. She spotted her father working in the fields. He looked up as she approached, and a look of surprise crossed his face. "Lucy, you're back," he said, standing up and brushing the dirt off his hands. "We didn't expect you back so soon." "I've learned a lot, Father," Lucy said, her voice steady but soft. She stood tall, feeling a sense of strength she hadn't felt before. "Really?" Thomas said, raising an eyebrow. "What have you learned?" Lucy took a deep breath. "I've learned that bravery isn't about being fearless. It's about doing what needs to be done, even when you're afraid. It's about helping others, even when it scares you. And it's about doing your best, even when you don't think you're strong enough." Thomas stood there, silent for a moment, taking in her words. Then he nodded. "I see," he said slowly. "It seems like you've learned a lot more than I thought you would. You've come back, a different person." Lucy smiled, a warmth spreading through her chest. She had proven to herself that she could be brave, that she could face challenges head on. But there was one more thing she needed to do. Prove it to herself that she could be strong here at home with her father and sister. The next day, Thomas was working in the fields, fixing a broken fence. Lucy watched him for a while, wondering if he would ask her to help. She had been avoiding the farm work, unsure of where to start. But now, she felt a new sense of confidence. She knew that she had to face this final test, the hardest test of all. She had to prove to her father that she was strong, that she could be a help to the farm and a true partner in the work. Finally, after a moment of hesitation, she walked over to her father. "Father, can I help you with the fence?" she asked. Thomas paused for a moment, looking at her. Then he smiled. "Of course, Lucy. It's about time you asked." They worked side by side in the hot sun, repairing the fence. Lucy felt her muscles ache from the effort, but she didn't stop. She worked with purpose, determined to show her father that she could handle the hard work of the farm. She could feel her father's eyes on her, and for the first time, she didn't feel like she was being judged. She felt like he was proud of her. As the day wore on, Lucy's arms grew tired, and sweat dripped down her face. But she kept going, step by step, making sure every plank was secure. By the time the sun began to set, the fence was repaired. It wasn't perfect, but it was done. And for Lucy, that was enough. Thomas wiped his brow and looked at her with a sense of approval. Good work, Lucy. You've really come a long way. Lucy smiled, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. She had faced the challenge of working alongside her father, something that had always intimidated her. But now, she knew that she could do it. She could help. She could be strong. The following days passed quietly, and Lucy continued working alongside her father and Maria. She helped in the fields, taking care of the animals, and learning new skills every day. But more than that, Lucy had gained a new understanding of herself. She had faced her fears, learned to help others, and discovered that bravery was not about never feeling afraid. It was about acting despite the fear. One evening, after a long day of work, Lucy sat outside the farmhouse, watching the sun set behind the hills. She had come so far from the girl who had left the village with nothing but questions. Now she was confident in who she was, and she had learned to face whatever came her way with courage. Maria joined her, sitting down beside her. "You've changed, Lucy," Maria said, her tone soft but thoughtful. Lucy smiled. "I think I have," she said. "I've learned that bravery is about doing the right thing, even when you don't know what will happen. It's about helping others, even when you're scared. And it's about believing that you're strong enough, even when you don't feel that way." Maria nodded. "I think I understand now. I was always so focused on getting things done that I didn't see how much bravery you had all along. You just had to find it in your own way." Lucy looked at her sister, feeling a sense of peace. "I think we both have our own ways of being brave," she said, "but I'm glad I've learned mine." As the sky darkened and the stars began to appear, Lucy knew that her journey wasn't over. There would be more challenges, more things to learn. But for the first time, she felt ready for whatever lay ahead. Bravery wasn't something you learned once. It was something you practiced every day. And Lucy was ready to practice. Word spread quickly throughout the village that Lucy had returned home, and the villagers were eager to hear about her journey. At first, they had doubted her. Many had called her timid Lucy and questioned whether she could ever be as strong as her sister Maria. But when Lucy began sharing the stories of her travels, of how she helped the injured traveler and found the lost boy in the woods, the villagers began to see her in a new light. One evening, as the sun set and the village gathered at the town square for a celebration, the villagers came to Lucy to thank her for her courage. They recognized that her bravery wasn't about fighting wild animals or being the strongest person in the room. It was about her willingness to act, no matter the fear. And that, they realized, was the truest form of bravery. Thomas and Maria stood proudly by Lucy's side as the villagers congratulated her. Thomas's heart swelled with pride for his daughter, and Maria smiled, finally understanding what made Lucy special. Lucy smiled back at them. She had found her own strength, and now the village knew it too.